The storm had been raging for hours. Waves slammed against the cliffs of Silverpoint, a small coastal town where everyone knew everyone else's business, and where danger was rare, until tonight. 22-year-old Lena Rivera clung to the jagged rocks, the wind tearing at her jacket, her fingers numb from the cold. She had set out to rescue her younger brother, Max, who had gone missing after trying to sail across the treacherous bay alone. No one in Silverpoint had ever attempted such a crossing in winter. The elders shook their heads at her determination. "It's impossible," they warned. "The storm will swallow anyone foolish enough to try." But Lena didn't care about impossible. She couldn't. Max was her family, and hope was all she had left. She tightened the straps on her backpack, gripping the rope she had brought, and scanned the darkness. Somewhere out there, in the violent waves and pouring rain, he was waiting. 3 years ago, Lena had been told that she wouldn't amount to much. She was too fragile, too anxious, not suited for challenges. She had been a quiet girl, afraid of everything, from heights to new experiences. But life had a way of forcing change. When their parents died in a car accident, Lena became Max's protector, his anchor in a world that suddenly felt unstable. And that sense of responsibility had transformed fear into courage. The first sign of Max came in a flash of light, a small beacon from his boat struggling against the waves. Lena's heart leapt. She sprinted along the cliff edge, dodging puddles and slipping on wet stones, finally finding a rope ladder dangling from a lifeboat anchored to the rocks. She descended as quickly as she dared, shouting over the roar of the storm. "Max! Hold on! I'm coming!" The boy looked up at her, his eyes wide with fear, teeth chattering. "Lena! I can't make it," he screamed. "You can!" Lena shouted, wrapping the rope around her waist. "I've got you! Hold on!" The climb was brutal. Waves crashed over the rocks, sending salt water into their eyes. Lena's muscles burned, her fingers raw, but she refused to give in. Hope was more than a feeling, it was a choice she made in every step, every pull, every gasp of breath. She refused to let despair win. When they finally reached the cliff's edge, soaked to the bone and exhausted, Lena collapsed with Max into the shallow grass. For a moment, silence replaced the storm in their minds, though the rain still battered them relentlessly. Max wrapped his arms around her. "I thought I was done," he whispered. "You're not," Lena replied. "Not while I'm here." The storm eventually passed, leaving a quiet, misty dawn over Silverpoint. The town gathered to hear their story, astonished by Lena's bravery. Some called it foolish, others heroic. Lena didn't care about the labels. What mattered was the choice she had made to act when everyone else had told her it was hopeless. That morning, as she sat by the cliff with Max, Lena thought about the odds she had faced in life. Losing her parents, struggling with self-doubt, facing endless warnings from those who didn't believe in her, each had seemed insurmountable. Yet hope had been her compass. Acting despite fear, believing despite doubt, she had turned near tragedy into survival. News of Lena's courage spread beyond Silverpoint. She received letters from teenagers, young adults, and even strangers who had faced overwhelming odds and found inspiration in her story. They wrote of illnesses, of failed opportunities, of personal storms that seemed unbeatable. Lena realized then that hope wasn't only for those facing literal danger, it was universal. It was what kept people moving when everything in life tried to pull them under. Years later, Lena became a mentor for a program that trained youth in survival skills and emotional resilience. She told them her story, not to boast, but to show that courage and hope were active choices. "Life will throw storms at you," she would say. "Some are literal, some are figurative. But you have the power to act, to climb, to hold on, and to survive. Against the odds, hope is your strongest anchor." Lena never became fearless. She still felt terror when storms approached, when opportunities seemed too big, when challenges loomed over her head. But she had learned that hope didn't erase fear, it transformed it into action. That lesson, she realized, was more valuable than any medal, recognition, or publication. And so Lena continued to face life's storms, each one shaping her, each one teaching her that hope was not passive. It was active. It was living, breathing, choosing to move forward, no matter the odds. In the quiet moments, when she watched Max grow into a confident young man, Lena reflected on the stormy night that had changed everything. That night had been terrifying, exhausting, nearly impossible, but she had acted. Against the odds, hope had carried her. And it would carry her again, whenever life demanded it.